Just waiting for a few more people. Everyone's attention. The period between Pesach and Shavuot was designed to be the happiest period of the year. Happiest period of the year for three reasons. Number one, because if you're a farmer, this is when you're making all your money. All your crops are coming in, all the hard work you had. You don't get paid a paycheck all the time, but your harvest would come in now during the spring. Number two, winter is over. Maybe something it's hard for us to identify with, but the cold, wet winter with shorter days, which you can identify with, is over. Things are starting to bloom. The days are getting longer. The weather's warmer. You play outside. It's a very exciting time of the year, spring. And for us as Jews, this is a very, very exciting time of the year because of the build-up between Pesach and Shavuot. Pesach, when we got our freedom, to Shavuot, where we celebrate why we got our freedom and our ability to exercise, to exercise our freedom of religion. And unfortunately, when you look around the room, especially maybe at 11th and 12th grade boys, even more than anybody else, but it doesn't look like such a happy period, right? People starting to get a little scruffy, right? People not going to get their hair's going to get longer. No weddings, no bar mitzvahs, no parties, etc. When we think of the Sefira period, we think of a mourning period, of a sad period. And this duality between it being a very happy time of the year, but in many ways having our happiness tinged with sadness of terrible events that have happened through Jewish history, not only in the Rebbe Akiva students, the Middle Ages, but even in recent history, Yom HaShoah and Yom HaZikaron, we're all going to commemorate in the next week or so. We today are gathered together, both the Hillel 8th grade and the WYHS 9th to 12th grades are here to commemorate something which is happy and sad at the same time as well. Because it's a happy occasion. After 13 years, WYHS finally has a basketball court, something we put on, Hami Tannenbaum and I put on the plans for Boca Raton Synagogue campus the first year the school existed. But some portables were put up there, never got to build it. On the other hand, it's tinged in a certain way by sadness, because we've decided to commemorate this basketball court in memory of an 8th grader, which is in itself just such an unbelievable tragedy to think we're commemorating something in memory of a 14-year-old. But a 14-year-old who's never, when this idea came to us, we put the basketball court up, we said it should have some more meaning other than just taking layups and three-point shots. We realized that next year, many of the kids in the first 2-3 rows here will be joining our class of 2015, but they're going to be missing. There's someone going to be missing, in those seats next year in our classrooms, and that's Elijah Webberly. And this morning we're going to take a few minutes to reflect on what all the tremendous things we could learn from Elijah and to give meaning to that basketball court. There's a beautiful sign there, and every time you come to, those of you who live here, come to synagogue, those of you who go to school here, we'll go on that basketball court, that it should stay with you. I have to tell you that one of the questions you might remember on the essay to come to this school is a question about who was your role model, or what's something that happened in your life that impacted on you greatly. And I get it's a plethora of different answers. People write about, it's very lovely, people write about their mother, their father, or grandparents. Always get one or two Lubavitcher Rebbes in there. And you get a bunch of people, for maybe a particular friend. People write about a special trip they took, etc. I must tell you, this is the 14th year of students applying to this school, and it's the only year out of the 14 years, that a high percentage of the essays were about exactly the same thing. And I read them, I personally, and Melissa and a few other people read these applications in a 2-week period, and every night when I would sit there, I'd get into bed in my pajamas, and I'm going to read, I'm going to spend 2 hours reading, sorry for that image, but that I'm going to spend 2 hours reading applications every night. Every night I had 2 or 3 tributes by 14-year-olds about one of their classmates who all spoke about how their life will never be the same if, because of the things they learned from their classmate Elijah Webberly. And to represent the Hill 8th grade, I'd like to call on one of the students to speak on their behalf about their classmate. I'd like you to please give your undivided attention to Brian Agus. Yes, no?
I'll use it.
What?
I'll use it. Elijah. He was not only one of my closest friends, but an inspiration to me and everyone else who had the opportunity to know him. Since the beginning of our friendship, he had always been the funny one, the one to make the joke. And even throughout his cancerous sickness, he not only always had a smile on his face, but also never gave up on himself considering his condition. The times we visited him in New York, the times he came to school to spend time with his close friends that he rarely got to see anymore. Any chance we had, in the beat of the second, we would be there wherever he was. About a year ago, we were honored to celebrate Elijah's bar mitzvah. It was so much fun hearing him and Matishaw, his close friend, sing together. Everyone had a great time, and all our hearts were filled with joy seeing our closest friend become a man. We had so many memories together, and we all cherished the moments we had with him. Throughout the 2.5 years, Elijah was not even able to shoot a basketball. Therefore, I know that he is looking down upon us and smiling on the fact that all the students in Wyman Yeshiva High School, his close friends, and everyone he loves so much can be dedicating this new basketball court in his merit. We will miss him forever, and there's not one second in any of our hearts or minds that we're not thinking of him and how he changed every one of us in the greatest way possible.
And you. When I look at myself in the mirror, I'll see my dimple staring at me. I'll see my dad and me. When I look at myself in the mirror, I'll see my dimple staring at me. I'll see my dad and me. My dad was a hero to the end, and that is true. My dad was a pool champion. My dad was a Scrabble buff and greatest cook there ever was, and stained glass maker from above. When I look at myself in the mirror, I'll see my dimple staring at me. I'll see my dad and me. When I look at myself in the mirror, I'll see my dimple staring at me. I'll see my dad and me. He never cared for himself, he went out for everybody else. He never cared for himself, he went out for everybody else. He never cared for himself, he went out for everybody else. He never cared for himself, for himself. When I look myself in the mirror, I'll see my dimple stare at me. I'll see dad and me. When I look at myself in the mirror, I'll see my dimples staring at me. I'll see my dad and me, my dad and me.